Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Elston. Welcome to my channel, Elstonation. In this video, we're going to talk about balance. Now, I am sorry to disappoint, but this video will not be about the balance of wargaming in regards to points and meta and all that stuff. Sorry, we're going to be talking about something else. Recently, I've taken a mental battering. Life has been confusing and tough and a little bit complicated, but getting out the other side of it, things are looking better. So that's why there's been a little bit of slowdown on videos. Don't worry, you don't need to send me messages about, are you feeling okay? I hope you feel better soon, anything like that. I am a big boy, I will figure it all out. But just to let you know, it's been a little bit tough. What it's done though, is allow me to get perspective on things. When I say perspective, it's a tricky thing to explain, but I will do my best. So let's start at the beginning. As I said, my life's been complicated recently. I've had to look at my life and see what's going on and take stock of things and really kind of make a real proper effort to either make a change or figure out what I'm doing and ascertain what's good for me, what's good for my life, and what's good for everything else. Now, because of said issue and complications in life, I have been not putting out content. I've been not wanting to do video editing. I've been trying to focus on life, and also when things have been getting me down in the dumps, I've been doing painting and hobbying to keep my mind and my hands occupied, because I think if you don't, it could be bad time. However, as I said, getting through the other side of it now, and it made me realize that there are 3 points in my life which I'm focusing on, and I can only ever focus on 2 at the same point in time. Now, I know I am a man and multitasking is not my thing. However, 2 is the maximum. Trying to do all 3 at the same time is not possible. You can also focus all your attention on one, but I tend to find that always leads to bad results. So what am I talking about with these 3 points? As I said, I've broken them down to 3. Yours, if you've got them of your own, can be infinitely more complicated. That's fine. It's just a thing that I've done to make it easier for me to process it. One of them is life itself. Now we're talking about making dinner, mowing the lawn, taking out the trash. Trash? Rubbish in England. It's rubbish. That's what we call it, rubbish. Taking out the rubbish, washing your clothes, doing the dishes, spending time with your loved ones, watching TV with them, and all in between. That's life. Now, life has been a bit skewed due to the pandemic. We can't go out, we can't see people. So it's made things weird, because what we used to think was the norm is now no longer the norm, and what is now the norm is slowly becoming not the norm as we move out of the lockdown phase, here in the UK anyway. So things are changing again. So pandemic, there was a change. Now we're coming out of the pandemic, there's going to be another change. And that's brought its own set of complications with it at the same time. But what else is going on? The other 2 parts of my life at the moment, which are big focal points, are wargaming and hobbying. I think that's the one I spend the most attention on, and YouTube. We'll wrap it all into social media to make life easier, so if you're not into YouTube, but you're into Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever, you can hopefully find a relation to this. Now, if you are into more of the painting tutorials that I do apologize. This isn't one of those ones. This is a talking head, kind of reflecting on life, and it allows me to process and figure things out. Might ring a chord with you, it might not. If not, it might just be an interesting thing to listen to, make you have a think. I'm not going to say at the end of this I have an answer for you. If you have troubles like these of your own, I can maybe push you in the direction that I've been thinking, but I definitely don't have your answer for you. It might help, but now I like to think of these 3 points as a triangle. So, point up here, life, point over here, hobbying, point over here, social media. So 3 points of the triangle. Now what you do with those 3 points is up to you. How much effort and time you spend on each of them is, again, up to you. But if any advice I can give out of all of this, just remember this part at the beginning. Life is the most important one, so just bear that in mind when you're making any decisions or thinking about things. So why am I going down this route? Why am I bringing these 3 points into things? Well, with YouTube, I've noticed recently, and it happens with a lot of my friends as well, they're going down the YouTube rabbit hole. Now, what I've seen in comparison to me is a shift in balance. Now, there's kind of an equal amount of productivity that comes out of both in result. It's just different ends of the scale. I focus less on YouTube and more on my hobby. I think that's kind of obvious. If it wasn't obvious by the channel or everything that I've done, it's kind of obvious, but just as clarification, I focus more on hobbying and wargaming than I do YouTube, because that's my hobby. YouTube is kind of like a secondary hobby, and I don't mean to belittle anyone that's watching this or any YouTubers out there. It's just, to me, it is a secondary hobby. The primary hobby is wargaming, and the channel kind of reflects that. As I do wargaming, and therefore it's a wargaming channel. Now, a common thing I see is people who go down the YouTube sort of rabbit hole is their wargaming hobby starts taking the secondary aspect of it. So the productivity levels that they do sort of shrink drastically. If you wanted to put the amount that I've painted, and granted, I know I'm a special subject, so yeah, I know. But if you wanted to put me against one of our newer YouTubers that are up and coming, you guys know who you are anyway. If people don't know who I'm talking about, there'll be links below. Sprayblack and Pickle. If you look at their content, it is amazing. It is, and they are outputting far more than I am. Far more. And it shows in the success of their channels. They're growing. They're moving. One of those odd moments where, again, back to the whole YouTuber doubts videos, jealous and proud at exactly the same time. However, to stop the jealousy aspect, because that does happen, and I think that blindsides me from time to time, because I think, if I just put a little bit more effort into YouTube, I'd be doing what they're doing. And that's the blindside trick. It blindsides you because it makes you think that you're not doing enough work. And I think that's true for all YouTubers. Maybe they think they're not doing enough work because there's never enough time in the day. But that's the same with wargaming. I've got more models than I think I can ever paint, but I'm going to have a bloody good go at doing it. But there's not enough time in the day. Now, I'm talking about this balance between flip-flopping between YouTube and wargaming, but an equal and opposite result of me versus the other guys that are doing well on their YouTubes is model output, or painted model output. As I said, I know I'm a special case, so this isn't exactly that fair. But if you look at the amount I have created in this year alone compared to what they have done, I'm on another level. I know there's not levels, I know that's not a thing, but, further along in the journey. Contradicting myself. Jesus. Anywho, and I have to keep on telling myself about this. I'm not going to do that with YouTube because my foot is more firmly planted in my hobby, because it is my hobby. That's what I did before YouTube came along, and that's what I will stick to because it's my hobby. YouTube came along second, so it's a secondary hobby. And I'm not going to sink everything into that. I'm going to upgrade gear and everything like that by now. I don't know if this is going to show up in edit, but this is being shot on my new camera, so hopefully it looks a bit nicer. I need to get more lenses and stuff like that, but it's doing pretty well as far as I can see. So I'm a hobbyist and a secondary YouTuber, and those guys are becoming primary YouTubers and secondary hobbyists. Now, there's not a right or a wrong way of doing this. I'm not saying either is better or worse. You do what you want to do at the end of the day, by all means. And as I said, jealous and proud because they're getting the success. And yeah, it's coming to terms. It's going to happen very soon. They're going to overtake me in channel, and I'm just going to be so proud and so incredibly jealous. But it's a really cool thing to do, but there's no way in hell they would ever catch up with me. Even those two channels combined would ever come close to what I paint in a year. Like, if both of them went full bore at it, there's no way they'd be able to keep up. Like, not this year anyway. But that, again, that might make them jealous. But they need to understand that I'm jealous. So we're both jealous of each other. So, yeah, it's just, there's no point in being jealous because it's different goals, different ways of doing it. And this is my realization. I have a goal. My goal is wargaming. My goal is to get more models painted, which is, like, it may seem weird, and I think if I'm going to improve on YouTube, I just need to turn the camera on more so I can bring you along for the journey. On that note as well, hopefully, new man cave is on its way soon. I'm going to be upgrading soon. It'll be a few months. It'll be a few months, but we're getting there. But yes, new man cave is on its way, and what we're going to do is hopefully I'll have more chance of filming whenever, whatever I can. Now, what does this mean in regards to all of this? I'm talking about being jealous of each other. Oh, hi Loki. Hey, yeah, you okay? You can be into wargaming, you can be into YouTube, but to be honest with you, they're not the most important. So, as I said, the most important thing is life. You should always have a foot in life. I don't want to sound profound, but maybe that is a saying. You should always have a foot in life. Why should you always have a foot in life? Because if you don't have life, you don't have life. You always need to stop doing all of this YouTube and wargaming stuff at some point, and what's left is life. If you've got no life to go back to, what's the point? We're all doing this to try and make our lives easier. We're all doing this to try and make our lives mean something at the end of the day. So if your life is suffering because of it, you need to drop one. Now that's kind of what happened recently with me. So I'm taking the approach of, I've got to balance things right, and this is where the whole balance comes into play. You should always have a foot in life, and then you can move your foot between YouTube or social media and wargaming. That's fine. But remember you're doing it. If you've got your foot solidly planted in your hobby and not in social media, then expect your social media to suffer. Now, if you plant your foot solidly in social media, don't expect to be able to contend with the guys that keep up with their hobby. If you want to see productiveness, then the wargamers that don't do YouTube, they're going to fly past you. They're going to learn tips and techniques and tricks, and output is just going to outpace you considerably. There's nothing you can do about it because there's not enough time in a day, and you can't sacrifice life. So moving your foot from left to right, to hobby, to social media, is a balancing act only you can answer. That's why I said I can't answer it for you. It's just something for you to be aware of. How you deal with it, I don't know. Should there be anything else I really put in this video? Not really. It's just down to you. Whether or not it'd be a case of you spend your days with your family and your loved ones making memories so that when you're grey and old, you've got something to remember, or they've got something to remember, or whether you sink all your hours into painting 1 million models so that at the end of it, you've got thousands and thousands of minis. Or maybe you sink all your time into social media so that there is a record on the internet of you and your legacy and everything that you've done, and thousands, if not millions of people know who you are, and your memories lie there. The balance is up to you and what you do. You can only ever have 2 at a time. You can't have all 3. So just remember that. And if you plant 2 feet solidly in something, do it in life. Planting it all into one that's not life, can be tricky. I mean, even planting 2 foot in life as well can have side effects which are not very great for your mental health. So just remember that. It's all a balancing act. I was going to do a video and do a shot of me moving my foot between different things and be like a bit of a twister video, but hopefully I've explained it well enough that it makes sense to you lot. But yes, I guess the question is, what's your hobby? What's your secondary hobby? And is your life any good? If not, maybe it's time to move your balance to somewhere else. Up to you. Now, as I said, one of my talking head videos, a bit of a weird one. Sorry it's not more profound, but hey, something I was processing and I needed to get out there. Well, the battery died on that other camera, so I'm going to have to say goodbye on this one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in for this rambling talking head video. But until next time everyone, be good, be safe, love each other. and just remember where your balance is. And if it's wrong, shift your balance. Simple enough. Till then, see ya. Bye. Now, regardless of whether or not